You know that feeling, right? It's Sunday afternoon, let's say maybe 4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. The light is just starting to change outside.
Exactly. And your body is technically relaxing on the sofa. You might even have, a fresh cup of tea in your hand or something.
Right.
But your brain has already completely clocked in for the week. It's answering emails that haven't even been sent yet.
It's fighting traffic that doesn't exist yet.
Yes. It's stressing about a Tuesday meeting that might just get canceled anyway.
The classic Sunday scaries. It's that specific, really visceral state where you are physically present in a perfectly comfortable room, but mentally, you are just living in a highly stressful future.
It's basically time travel, but only to the bad parts. And that is exactly where we are starting today. But I have to warn everyone tuning in, and I want to be totally honest with you, the source material for this deep dive is, well, it's a little unexpected.
It really is. I mean, we aren't looking at some dense clinical psychology paper today or a Brené Brown lecture. We were actually looking at a conversation from the English Leap podcast.
Right, by a channel called Speak English with Class.
Exactly. The hosts are named Anna and Jake.
Now, hold on. Before you tune out, because you think we're about to spend the next 20 minutes conjugating irregular verbs, just stay with me here.
Yeah, don't leave just yet.
Because, yes, technically this is an English language lesson. But what makes this deep dive so fascinating to me is that while they are, teaching vocabulary to non-native speakers, they are actually laying out a surprisingly sophisticated manual for mental resilience.
That's what's so fascinating here. Sometimes when you have to explain really complex emotions in simple, clear language like you have to do for language learners, you end up stripping away all the jargon.
You get to the absolute core of the human experience.
You do. You stop hiding behind fancy psychological terms and you basically just say, this hurts and here's how to fix it.
It's like therapy by accident. Or maybe, I don't know, therapy, the simple version. So our mission today is to unpack the specific tools and habits that Anna and Jake discuss.
Right, we are moving beyond just the vocabulary definitions.
We're looking at how to apply these concepts to actually reduce stress and find what they call inner happiness. And I think it's incredibly timely because both hosts in the source freely admit to having what we might call a busy brain.
Oh, I relate to that deep in my soul. The busy brain is basically my default setting.
Same. It's like a browser with 50 tabs open and half of them are frozen.
And playing music you can't find.
Yes, exactly. So let's unpack this. They start with a concept that I think we're all completely guilty of. They call it dwelling.
Right. Now, in regular English, dwelling can just mean the physical place where you live. But psychologically, and definitely in this context, they define it in a really visual way.
It's not just thinking about a problem.
No, it's sitting on a thought. You stay inside it, you furnish it, you replay it over and over again.
It's a very sticky feeling. They use this great metaphor of the brain waking up as a little cloud of rain.
That's such a great image.
You open your eyes, and before you've even, stretched or greeted your partner, your brain says, "Good morning. Let's think about absolutely everything that is wrong with your life."
And here is where the analysis gets really interesting. It's not just that the brain wakes up negative, because evolutionarily speaking, that's actually pretty normal. We are wired to look for threats.
Right.
But it's what we do next that matters. Anna, the host in the source material, describes this perfectly. She calls it feeding her brain a sad breakfast.
I absolutely loved that phrase, sad breakfast. And just to be totally clear for you listening, she's not talking about cold oatmeal or burnt toast here.
No, she's talking about a digital diet.
Right.
It's waking up, feeling kind of gray, and immediately grabbing your phone to doom scroll. Reading bad news, looking at negative comments, swiping through photos of people who somehow seem much richer and happier than you are.
It's confirmation bias in pure action, isn't it? Your mood is already super low, so you subconsciously look for information that confirms the world is a terrible place. You are literally spoon-feeding the negativity right to yourself.
Precisely. And this creates a loop. You feel bad, you consume bad content, and then you just feel worse. So the core question they ask is, how do we stop eating the sad breakfast?
And that's where Anna talks about this idea of the happiness switch.
Right.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. When I hear happiness switch, my internal alarm bells go off.
It sounds a bit
like toxic positivity, like just turn that frown upside down.
Is that what she's advocating? Because if so, I'm out.
I had the exact same reaction initially, but no. She makes a really important distinction here. Happiness isn't inside your job or your smartphone or even other people. It's an internal mechanism.
Right.
But she doesn't mean you just force yourself to be happy. She's talking about agency. And the tool she uses is what she calls short-circuiting. Okay, let's unpack short-circuiting, because normally that's a bad thing. If my toaster short circuits, my house burns down.
Fair point. But in this context, it's a survival strategy. It basically means interrupting a bad pattern.
Snapping out of it.
Yeah. You realize you're on the usual road of negative thoughts, that sort of dark tunnel of I'm tired, life is hard, and you deliberately break the connection. You cut the wire.
So you don't just magically become happy.
No, you can't necessarily snap your fingers and be ecstatic. That's totally unrealistic. But as Anna says, you can change the next 5 minutes.
That is such a lower barrier to entry. Change the next 5 minutes. I feel like I can actually do that. I can't fix my whole life today, but I can definitely handle 5 minutes. So what does a short circuit actually look like in practice?
Anna gives a list, and I want you to notice how wonderfully analog these things are. She says, put the phone down, open a window, play exactly one happy song. Make a simple breakfast-like actual food, not digital doom. Take a 10-minute walk.
They seem almost too simple to work. Like, really, opening a window is going to fix my existential dread.
Well, that's the point. She says the result wasn't that her life suddenly became perfect. The big problems were still there. But the backpack, which is another really great metaphor they use for emotional weight, the backpack felt lighter by one stone.
I think that's the key takeaway for this whole first segment. We always want the magic bullet that fixes everything all at once. We want to drop the whole heavy backpack. But she's saying, just take one stone out.
Precisely. And this leads to what I think is probably the most beautiful image in this section, which really explains why the small stuff works so well. The garden metaphor.
Oh, I like this one. It feels very manageable.
The mind is a garden. Now, this is a classic Stoic idea, but they simplify it brilliantly for the audience. If you don't choose what to plant, weeds are going to grow automatically.
Because weeds don't need any help.
Exactly.
Right.
The weeds are the negative news, the office drama, those old embarrassing memories from high school that keep you up at night. They don't need fertilizer. They just show up. They are an invasive species.
Yeah.
But if you want something else, say roses, tomatoes, peace of mind, you have to actively plant a good seed.
And a good seed is small. It's a moment of gratitude. It's taking a breath of fresh air. It's playing that one good song. It's a deliberate choice.
Right. If you don't actively plant the good seed, you are by default growing weeds. It emphasizes that mental well-being requires active participation, even if the action itself is tiny. You just can't sit back and hope for a nice garden.
So, okay, we've got the seeds to fight off the daily gloom. That helps with the sad breakfast. But sometimes it's not just about waking up sad, right? Sometimes it's about that high-energy, buzzing anxiety, that tight worry that keeps you up at night.
The spiral.
Yes, the spiral. Jake, the other host, talks about this. He describes how a small worry becomes a really big story. It's almost cinematic the way he describes it.
It's pure catastrophic thinking. He talks about lying in bed, trying to sleep, but his brain is busy trying to control the weather, the global economy, and complete strangers on the internet. He says he felt like he was trying to control the whole world from his pillow.
Which is completely impossible, obviously, but it feels so real in that moment. You feel like you're just trying to keep your head above water. That's another great phrase they use, just surviving, not actually relaxing. So how do we stop the spiral? Jake suggests something called the 2 circles exercise.
Right, and this is another ancient concept. It's the dichotomy of control, but just simplified beautifully. You grab a piece of paper, you draw 2 circles. Circle 1 is things I can control. Circle 2 is things I can't control.
Okay, let's sort of role play this out. Jake did this exercise. What did he actually find in the can't control circle?
The usual suspects. The past, can't change that. Other people's opinions, can't change those. Global news. The weather, whether certain people actually like him.
That sounds suspiciously like my brain at 3 a.m. And what was in the can control circle?
It was a much, much shorter list. What he eats when he decides to go to sleep. And sending one specific message to a friend.
And the big revelation, the real aha moment, is the 90% rule.
Yes. He realized that 90% of his anxiety lived entirely in the can't control circle. His brain was burning all these calories and working overtime on things it had absolutely zero influence over.
Wow.
It's like revving your engine while the car is in neutral. You're just wasting gas and overheating the engine, but you aren't going anywhere.
That is terrifying, but it's also incredibly liberating. But here is the really actionable part. They made a rule for this. The rule for relief. Because you can't just yell at your brain to stop worrying, right? That never works.
Exactly. Telling yourself, don't think of a pink elephant, guarantees you're going to think of a pink elephant. So the rule is this. You are absolutely allowed to notice things in the can't control circle.
You don't have to be delusional.
Right? You don't have to ignore reality or pretend the world is perfect,
Yeah.
but you are not allowed to stay there. The second you notice you're in circle 2, you must immediately move your attention back to the can't control circle.
It's basically a game. Oh, I'm worrying about global interest rates. Well, that's circle 2. Okay, let's move to circle 1. What can I do? I can drink a glass of cold water.
It rapidly shifts the brain from a state of complete helplessness to a state of agency. And they couple this with a visualization technique to really cement the shift. Jake talks about moving the brain from a noisy street, that chaotic, buzzing worry state, to a quiet park.
I loved his description of this. For him, the quiet park wasn't just some vague concept. It was sitting against a wall, closing his eyes, and physically imagining a beach. Just focusing on feeling the warm sand and hearing the waves. It sounds really simple, almost too simple for a deep dive like ours, but it's actually about physiology, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's about physiologically calming your nervous system down. By doing that, you are signaling to your amygdala that you are currently safe, despite the noisy street of your anxious thoughts.
Yeah.
You are explicitly giving your brain permission to clock out.
Okay, so we're planting good seeds to stop the morning gloom. We're drawing circles to stop the midnight spiral. But I want to pivot to something a bit more insidious: ambition.
Ah, yes.
Because sometimes the thing weighing us down isn't worry about the outside world, it's worry about ourselves. I'm not doing enough. I'm falling way behind.
This brings us perfectly to their segment on goals. And this is fascinating because usually self-help material tells us that goals are undeniably 100% good. Set big goals, dream bigger, hustle harder.
Right. All the time.
But Anna and Jake discuss how goals can actually start to feel like a tax.
Goals that hurt. I really felt that phrase. It's that constant internal monologue of, I should earn more, I should have a better job title by now, I should be married, I should have six-pack abs.
It's the tyranny of the shoulds. And it's almost always driven by comparison. They use the idiom, the grass is always greener. Anna talks about scrolling through other people's lives on social media and seeing lush green grass everywhere, while feeling like her own life was just dry, cracked ground.
That is such a harsh, isolating feeling, being stuck in a rut, just doing the exact same thing every day, feeling completely trapped. When you feel like that, big goals like change my entire career or buy a house, they aren't inspiring at all. They're honestly just scary. They paralyze you.
Exactly. If you're already stuck in a rut, dropping a massive goal on yourself is just adding another heavy rock to that emotional backpack. So they suggest a major pivot. Replace the big, scary, toxic productivity goals with what they call clear and kind goals.
Clear and kind. I love that combination so much. Not just a clean goal, but one that is actually kind to your nervous system. Anna shares her 3 goals from a particularly tough time in her life, and honestly, they are shockingly small.
Let's look at them. Goal 1 was health. Walk for 20 minutes. Not go to CrossFit, not run a marathon, just walk.
Simple.
Goal 2 was work. Learn something new for 20 minutes. And goal 3 was heart. Send one message to someone she cares about.
That's it. That is basically 1 hour of effort total. But she says it worked incredibly well because it gave her brain a clear direction without completely crushing her.
And this is where the expert in me gets really excited about the metaphor they use to explain this. The headlights metaphor.
Yes. This was my absolute favorite analogy in the entire source material. It made so much just click for me.
It's a perfect visual. Think of driving a car in a really heavy fog at night. You cannot see your final destination. You can't even see the next mile marker. If you strain your eyes to look too far ahead, all you see is a wall of gray nothingness, and you naturally start to panic.
Because you feel blind.
Exactly. But you have headlights on your car. And what do the headlights show you?
Just the next 3 meters, maybe 5 meters if you're lucky.
And that is all you actually need to keep moving. You don't need to see the whole road to drive the car. You just need to see the next 3 meters.
That is just so incredibly relieving. Those small, clear, and kind goals, they are the headlights. They don't magically fix your entire life path, but they prevent you from crashing right now. They allow you to safely move forward.
And eventually, if you keep moving forward, as they say, you bounce back. That was another great idiom they explored, like a rubber ball hitting the hard ground. You go down, yes, but the basic physics of resilience means you will come back up.
But we do need to address the elephant in the room here. Or maybe it's the dragon in the room, because we've talked about grumpiness, we've talked about anxiety and feeling stuck. But speaking of hitting the bottom, sometimes it's not just, oh, I'm stuck in a rut. Sometimes it's my heart is completely broken or I lost someone I loved. Jinx shares a really vulnerable story about a bad breakup where he felt like someone just switched off all the color in his life.
Yeah, this is dealing with deep, profound pain. The basic tools for the Sunday scaries might not be enough here. The key distinction they make in this heavier section is between brooding and living.
Brooding, that's such a great word for it. It just sounds heavy and dark.
It actually comes from agriculture, believe it or not. It describes a hen sitting on a nest of eggs to hatch them.
Yeah.
But in psychology and in the context of this podcast, it means sitting on a sad thought. You are literally hatching sadness, replaying the breakup over and over, replaying the loss. You are staying inside the narrative of the pain.
Jake says he was absolutely doing that, just lying in bed in the dark, listening to the same sad songs on repeat. And he realized something profound. He couldn't think his way out of the heartache.
That is the crucial insight of this whole section. You cannot think your way out of deep emotional pain. Logic just doesn't work down there. You can't spreadsheet your way out of grief. You have to, as he says, live your way through it.
Live your way through it. That sounds nice on a bumper sticker, but what does it actually mean in practice? Just waiting for time to pass.
No, it means taking action. But very small physical action. It's somatic. You literally have to move the physical body to move the stuck mind. You treat the pain exactly like that heavy backpack again. You carry it. You openly acknowledge it's there, but you walk with it. You don't just sit down on the side of the road and refuse to move until the bag magically disappears, because it won't disappear while you're just sitting there.
They offer a really specific tool for when you're completely overwhelmed by this kind of deep problem. It's the one-sentence problem-solving tool, because when we are brooding, our problems tend to feel like these massive, impossible, tangled knots.
And this tool is brilliant just for its sheer simplicity. When you are confused or totally overwhelmed, you grab a pen and you write, "The problem is," and you must finish that thought in exactly one sentence.
Not a paragraph, not a rambling rant, not a 10-page diary entry.
One single sentence. "The problem is I feel alone. The problem is I hate my commute. The problem is I really miss her."
It forces you to stop admiring the complexity of the problem and just define it. And then what do?
Then, right below it, you write 3 small, tryable solutions. And again, we have to emphasize the word small here, not find a new husband, but join an online book group or message one old friend.
It takes the pressure off completely. It turns the end of the world into a situation to work through. It creates emergency exits.
Exactly. It breaks the paralysis. And that leads perfectly to the final concept I really want to touch on, which I think beautifully summarizes this whole philosophy they've built. Quiet courage.
Quiet courage. We usually think of courage as being so loud, slaying a literal dragon, quitting your terrible job in a blaze of glory, giving the big dramatic speech while the orchestra music swells in the background.
That's movie courage. That's Hollywood. But Anna and Jake define real resilience as quiet courage. It's the courage to try just one small thing, despite the overwhelming pain. It's the courage to make yourself eat a piece of toast when you're heartbroken and you have absolutely zero appetite. It's the courage to send that one text message when all you feel is isolation. It's not loud. It's not going to get a million likes on Instagram. Nobody is going to clap for you. But it is the very thing that keeps us alive.
It's amazing how this simple English vocabulary lesson turned into a masterclass in philosophy. It really is all about those micro moments. So let's kind of wrap this up and look at the whole toolkit we've uncovered today. We've got these common idioms that double as pretty heavy psychological tools.
We do. We have bounce back,
Yeah.
which is a gentle reminder that recovery is a long process, not a sudden event. We have the ball is in your court, which is all about claiming agency and taking that next small step, no matter how badly the game seems to be going.
And if we try to synthesize all of this, the good seeds in the garden, the circles of control, the headlights in the fog, the one-sentence problem, what's the common thread running through all of this? If you had to put it on a giant billboard.
It's
Smallness.
smallness. I love that.
We so often think that big, scary problems require massive, dramatic solutions. A big depressive episode needs a big life change. A huge anxiety spike needs a month-long vacation or totally new career. But Anna and Jake are forcefully arguing the exact opposite. Big problems are almost always solved by tiny, repetitive actions. Small goals light up the road ahead.
It's the steady accumulation of small things. It's the habit.
Exactly. The brain learns through constant repetition. You are training it every single day.
Which actually brings us to a really provocative thought to leave you with today.
Uh-huh.
We talked earlier about the happiness habit. If the brain learns entirely by what we teach it every day,
Then the ultimate question is, what habit are you teaching your brain right now, in this very moment? Ooh, that's really good. That definitely hits home.
think about it. Are you teaching your brain that the next 5 minutes are designated for worrying about a distant future you can't even see? Are you actively teaching it how to dwell? Or are you teaching your brain that the next 5 minutes are simply for taking one deep breath or opening a window to let the breeze in?
You are building a mental habit right now, whether you realize it or not. Every 5 minutes is another rep in the gym for your brain.
You really are. So, above all else, be gentle with your mind. You don't have to be perfect at this. As the source material reminds us, you just have to keep moving in a kinder direction.
A kinder direction. I really like that. I think as soon as we finish up here, I'm going to go plant a small seed and maybe just take a walk without my phone.
That sounds like a perfect plan, just taking it one stone at a time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for diving deep with us today.
Take care, everyone.